chains, and I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Jessica Williams, and she will fill you in on who they are. So welcome, Jessica.
Thanks, John. Thank you so much for inviting us, John. I am honored personally to play a role in any facilitating of this knowledge sharing. This is a very nice group in front of us, and you'll really hear from them. A quick introduction about myself. So my name is Jessica Williams, and I have a company called Food Forward Thinking. I do food service consulting in convenience, restaurants, and grocery. Work on profitability, innovation with menus, training. I can even create nutrition facts for all your new products. And my background is a food science degree, and then did product innovation at Thornton's convenience store chain, and before that, 10 years with Yum Brands. So with KFC brand, I have been able to work and live in the U.S. and travel abroad quite a bit. And I really like to think of myself as having kind of equal parts creative, chef sort of style, and then a real operations-minded approach too. If you want to know more about me, my website is foodforwardthinking.com, but this is not about me. And I want to make sure that I'm advancing this slide. I knew that would happen, right?
Other way.
Here we go. So how this is going to work, it's going to be kind of like the last panel. So each one here will be able to talk through what their background and some about their stores. We're really excited to talk about breakfast and really bring that into focus this morning. And as they're speaking, feel free to take notes, think about what questions you might have for them. We are certain that this would be the very best panel of the morning, of the whole day, maybe of the whole trip. So I'm really glad that you're here. No kidding, there are 3 different approaches, 3 different store sizes, 3 different ideas and ways to get things done. But what they all do have in common, lots of experience, extremely talented group, and just a very generous and nice, kind group of people. So if you don't get the chance to ask them your questions here this morning, make sure that you find them throughout the next couple of days. The spirit of sharing and innovation and best practice sharing in the convenience world is unlike any other world. Coming from restaurants, coming from other industries, this just doesn't happen. Especially with food service, you really see a spirit of kindness and sharing and just elevating the whole industry. So. Well, I want to thank you all very much for being part of this. You could have said no. So, but in the spirit of networking and sharing, these guys stepped up. So thank you so much. I'll turn it over and kick it off. We'll have questions and answers at the end. So we'll just let each one go, and then I'll probably kick it off with a few questions to get us started. All right. Thanks, Jerome. You have a mic.
I got a mic. Let's see, it works. Thank you, Jessica. That's a great introduction. My name is Jerome Hunsinger, and I work with Wawa Convenience Stores. I've been with Wawa just making sure. I've been with Wawa about 18 years. Prior to Wawa, I worked for IKEA North America for about 5 years in procurement, marketing, store growth teams, center of excellence, data analytics, innovation, and product development related to packaging and equipment. So did a lot of work within our organization over the past 18 years. I'm currently the Wawa Food Service Marketing Brand Manager. So that's basically responsible for all of our food service offering that's Wawa branded. So most of the stuff that you order on our touchscreen. I have a MBA from St. Joe's in food marketing, and just recently completed that. So I know we have some St. Joe's grads in the room. So a little shout out for St. Joe's. So let's talk a little bit about Wawa. Wawa was founded in 1964. So if you don't know about Wawa, that's our first store in Folsom. We had celebrated our 50th anniversary about 10 or 12 years ago. And on the upper right-hand corner is who we like to call our patriarch. That was Graham Wood, who started the company in 1964. We are over 200 years in American business. So we started out in Millville manufacturing, doing iron ore right around the Industrial Revolution. We were making a lot of railroad ties, railroad spikes. We were making gas lanterns and iron fences. That kind of converted into what you see on the left-hand side, fire hydrants from D.E. Wood and Sons. Our former CEO, Dick Wood, used to like to say that more dogs have peed on his name than anyone in the United States. And that's why he said that. And then we evolved into cloth diapers, and then eventually into the dairy business. You'll see on the upper right-hand side where we started out horse and buggy, and eventually migrated over to delivery and motorized vehicles, and which is kind of what led us to the convenience store model in 1964. One of the previous presenters had mentioned about constantly reinventing yourself, and you'll see here that Wawa has been doing that for over 200 years. You would kind of say some of these businesses have failed. Cloth diapers is one that went away, right? Iron ore manufacturing went away. And it's important to try to continue to learn from those journeys and then reinvent yourself. So even Wawa as you know it today is not the Wawa that you might have known it in 1964. Constantly trying to push the envelope, going from smokes and cokes into branded food service, then into fresh, and then into non-branded food service. And now with the digital revolution going on, where will that take us next is a great question. So who we are, we have a core purpose. We spoke a little bit earlier about mission and culture and purpose, and I thought that was a great segue into my slide here. We are fulfilling lives every day. That is kind of what we say our mantra is. You think about Nike, and Nike's not a shoe company, right? They are an athletic apparel company who encourages you to just do it. Or Apple is really not a computer, iPhone, laptop company. They're a technology company that makes your life easier. That bigger branded purpose is, I think, important for us to challenge ourselves to think about. And ours is fulfilling lives every day. We have 6 core values that guide this principle. Delighting customers, do the right thing, do things right. We heard about the Admiral last night speaking about that, and again, great segue into this slide. Embracing change, passion for winning, and valuing people. So what we believe in is servant leadership and private and shared ownership, 2 of our big founding principles. Transparency, community involvement, simple things like holding the doors for other people, keeping an open door policy. A lot of people joke about Wawa that it's the only place in Philadelphia where you can go to get the door held for you, actually. Don't know why it happens, but it actually does happen. What we don't believe in big egos, short-sightedness, corporate speak, politicking, sharing blame, only one right answer, and favoritism. These are some things that really resonate within our hallways, and it's really interesting when you come to Wawa to work and you hear all this, and then 2 years later you sit down with a new associate, and they're like, wow, it was real. We actually do this stuff, and that's great to hear. What we stand for is absolutely our 6 core values. And this is what you see manifest each and every day within our stores, each and every day within our corporate office. Really challenging ourselves when we sit down to have a complex situation. So many times you'll hear someone in a room say, let's answer this with our core values at heart. And when you do that, you really never can make a wrong answer. And they really do help each and every decision. So Wawa today, we're privately held, associate and family owned. All stores are Wawa owned and operated. We have over 40,000 corporate associates. We're probably at about 975 now in stores. 29th ranked on the Forbes largest privately held companies. And this is the footprint as you know today. I know there's been some announcements coming out about growth and expansion, but when the slide was done, these are the states that we operate in. And I would like to note that Pennsylvania does have some very beautiful stores it operates in. So we apologize for any of those obtuse landscape errors that we might have made. The breakfast day part, that's really what we're here for today. This breakfast day part was growing at a rapid pace, and then the variant hit us, right? And then our lives changed overnight, and we went from store count and store growth and customer count to basically almost being closed across the entire operation. So what we did is we kind of said, we could sit here and let this happen, or we need to understand what's going on and address it and put together a game plan to be successful. So we immediately conducted some research, and what we found was 1 in 6 Wawa customers have permanently altered their morning routine. We needed to understand what kind of game we were playing here. What was the real size of the prize? A lot of these people we've realized were coffee drinkers. Over half of them were heavy users, 3 times a week frequency. And most of these people, almost 20%, were working from home. So what we did is we needed to understand the size of the prize and then layer on macro truths and trends with Wawa implications and then spit out some thought starters. We didn't want to sit back and kind of wait for the customers to come to us. We wanted to attack it and make sure that we were surgically looking for ways to take advantage of not only what the customers want and how their needs are going to change, but when things came back, we needed to be ready for them. So some macro trends and truths that I think we all see and hear are this decrease in commuting, right? At-home consumption. I know I personally have bought more ground coffee in the last 3 years than I bought in my entire life. This 360-degree shopping experience, these omni-channels that are starting to come out, whether it's delivery, digital, curbside, catering, web ordering, in-app. So one of the big things that we have started was this digital transformation, as we called it. And the digital transformation was really taking a look at, I would call it our vertebrae, or the backbone or the spine of Wawa. And do we have the infrastructure and the technology needed to support this omni-channel environment? So making sure that we had investment in technology so that we can come out of that, be quick, be nimble, be able to go into multiple ordering channels and really deliver on a Wawa where you want it, when you want it, how you want it experience. Suggestive selling, using our loyalty data to understand basket, incrementality, lost consumers and slippage. Secondary marketing display in stores. It's more important now to take advantage of that customer in your store than it ever has been. If they come in and they're a singleton, you need to understand and figure out how to not make them a singleton. 1 cup of coffee is not going to do it, right? A coffee, a donut, a hoagie, a soda. It has to really work. So those adjacent displays and strategies are more important than ever. The Wawa brand outside of our traditional brick and mortar structure, and that really plays into delivery and 3PL. Uber Eats, Grubhub, some strong partnerships that we formed, and really that digital backbone that I spoke about really helps bring that to life. Without that technology, it really becomes harder, less flexible, and more cumbersome to execute on. And then some things that just from a menu implication, co-branded, comfort foods, people coming out of the pandemic, they really wanted things that they could trust and relate to. Even though we have a strong brand, it doesn't hurt to partner with some of the national brands to really make sure that the customer feels comfortable. Another thing that we did immediately was we wrapped all of our bakery items overnight, just doing little things like that to provide a little bit of sense of relief and be able to trust a brand a little bit more. So at the end of the day, we said, what is the focus going to be? There was a lot going on during COVID, and the focus for us was really kind of staying true to what our strategies were. It's convenience, quality, personal connections, and affordability. Convenience, we had to make sure that we were able to take these 1 out of 6 customers and ask ourselves, can we be more convenient to them? Can we bring the Wawa brand to them in different ways? Can we get them through catering? Can we get them through delivery, home use, pickup in app? Convenience was getting self-checkout rolled out to almost all of our stores. Can we get them in and out of the stores quicker? They don't want to be standing in long lines. People still have a little bit of post-PTSD related to COVID. So we accelerated our self-checkout program. Personal connections, really amping up our digital loyalty and rewards. How can we become more one-on-one with the brand and the customer, learn from the customer, and then deliver what the customer wants from us? Overall quality, I think we all realized during the pandemic that the supply chain has been constrained more than ever. So how do we look at the supply chain and take lemons and turn it into lemonade? We're not going to be able to get as much chicken wings as we possibly want, although McLean does a great job of delivering chicken wings, I heard the Admiral talk about. But really what our focus was, what can we control? And what we can control is our current specs, our current products. Is our roll as good as it could be? Is our lunch meats as good as it can be? Is our baked products, is our coffee, is everything on spec? We might not be able to grow, people might be constrained, but what we can do is make sure that what we are offering is perfect. It is exactly what the customer wants. It meets our brand needs and continuing to refine that. So we really focused on quality of what we already had. And then affordability. One of the big things that you saw and you continue to see is the less price promotion from national brands. And how do you provide affordability if you're not going to do 2 for $3 breakfast sandwiches or 2 for $5 Whoppers? And affordability really comes into play. And how do you provide everyday value? Everyday value with adjacencies, again, with add-ons, with loss leaders. So providing value doesn't necessarily have to be in price discount, but it could also be in what you provide the customer in quality, what you provide the customer in the experience when they come into the store. It could simply be smiling at your customer and saying thank you more. So we're making a comeback, right? We were kind of knocked down, as most of us were, but with kind of our strategy, staying true to who we were, focusing on promotions, signature items, co-branded products, process improvements, retails, and kind of our digital transformation project, we were able to get back to where we were, continuing to provide value for our customers and listen to their needs. And we will continue to do that. It may not be deep discounted promotions like we have done in the past, but we are going to provide things like Free Coffee Tuesdays and delivery and really get the brand outside of our brick and mortar structure so that more people have access to it. And then more focus on signature items like panini and chalupas and burgers and all the other things that we're starting to develop that we maybe had to put on the back burner during the COVID times. I think that's it. And I'm going to hand it over to Dora.
Thank you. Wawa is always super impressive, so I'm happy to be listening here and sitting on this panel with Jerome and with everyone here. My name is Dora Ocampo. I am one of the senior food service category managers at Global Partners. I've been with Global for 7 years now. I always like to say that I grew up in convenience stores. My father owned one, as did my uncle, and I spent my whole childhood in those stores, bringing up customers way below the age that I should be. And throughout college, that was kind of my path. I continued with C-stores. And so it kind of made sense for me to go into a convenience store chain. And it was a really good natural progression. A little bit of background on Global, not too much. We are a third-generation family-founded company based out of Waltham, Massachusetts. We have 21 company-operated terminals with roughly 1,600 retail stations across the Northeast. Out of those 1,600 retail stations, we operate about 300 of those out of our corporate office. We have many C-store brands, including but not limited to Alltown Fresh, Extra Mart, Jiffy Mart, Wheels, and very recently Miller's. As I mentioned, I've been with Global for 7 years now, and when I first started, I would say we were definitely a C-store company that had food in it. As we've grown through acquisitions and as we've started to put, a more focus on food, we've really started to transition to this food-first strategy or mentality, where we're putting food at the forefront instead of it just being another thing inside of our store. This is super exciting for me because I work in food service, so it's great to see that the programs that we're putting in place are getting, the attention that they deserve. What I'm going to be going over today is, the journey we've gone through very recently as I've been developing a breakfast sandwich program that is going to be launching in May. So I'd be remiss to talk about breakfast without talking about the importance of coffee first. I really think that the coffee program is the building block to a great breakfast sandwich program. If your guest isn't confident in the cup of coffee that they're getting from you, they will never be confident in the breakfast sandwich that you have to offer. Before solving for the need of breakfast, we need to make sure that the coffee program could stand on its own. Kind of what Jerome mentioned, COVID was a gut punch to us. Our coffee bars were getting shut down. Our consumer behavior was changing. People were making coffee at home versus getting it on the go. But at Global, we kind of saw that as an opportunity to improve the guest experience. So while customer traffic was down, we decided to go full force with launching Bean to Cup. So we have successfully launched Bean to Cup at around 200 locations. And now that we have that in place, now that consumer behavior is kind of going back, we're seeing sales picking up, especially in the morning time. Now they're going to get greeted with a brand new, elevated experience. Now, what goes better with coffee than a breakfast sandwich? We got the right hand covered. Now we got to get the left hand covered. Hopefully not as dangerously as this, but I'm pretty sure we've all done this once or twice. So that was kind of the natural progression for us. We saw that we had just built this really great brand for our coffee, and now we need to think about the adjacencies. What else can we do to make this day part as successful as it can be? So 9 months ago, I started embarking on the journey of figuring out what we need to do, what are the costs that are associated with a breakfast program. And here are some of these costs. This is hopefully will help some of you if you're thinking about going down this path. The first decision that we really had to make was whether or not we wanted to go the branded or the private label route. And they're both great for so many different reasons. Branded, half the work is done for you. The manufacturer has, a list of SKUs that they offer. You pick the ones that you think will work best for your business. And, ideally, it's a brand that your guests already know and love. And you don't have to worry about minimums, which is, always a good thing. But then comes, what happens when the manufacturer decides to discontinue this, a top-selling item in your portfolio? What happens when it goes on allocation? I'm sure everyone's feeling this pain of having, so much demand, but they just can't get it into distribution fast enough. And also, what is this doing for your brand? Is it elevating your brand? And how do you differentiate yourself from others in the market that are running the same program? With private label, you have full autonomy over, exactly where you're going to be offering. You get to pick the meat, the bread, the cheese, the label. The quality and the cost of the sandwich is in your hands. But every decision you make from that point on is affecting your ROI. Do I go with a 1.5 ounce sausage patty or a 2 ounce? That's like 10 cents right there. Margarine, croissant, or butter? Always butter.
Always better.
What kind of packaging do I use? Clear so that the guest could see it, or butcher wrapped? Is it hand wrapped or machine wrapped? Do I put a picture on my label? All of these decisions have a direct effect on your retails, on your margins, and on your ROI overall. I'm not here to push one or the other, but obviously think back to yourself on what is my overall goal, what's the problem I'm trying to solve for, and what's best for my brand. Next is equipment. The equipment is the vehicle that's going to present your breakfast. And it's, there's sometimes not a cookie cutter answer to this. All of your stores are different. Maybe you need a small one, a medium, or a large one, depending on the volume of your stores or the footprint. For us, we really looked at the footprint because of, just the sizes of our coffee bars, but also what are the signage abilities for this? Let's make sure we pick one that we're going to be able to market the heck out of, so that we could, take advantage of that valuable space. Also heating, is your program going to be with a microwave or with a turbo chef? Those are very drastically different in cost, but they also deliver very drastically different results. And then this one is one that, really hit us the most, was location. We had to consider what else we were gonna have to move to make room for this brand new warmer and the costs that are associated with that. So we had a lot of stores where we're gonna have to extend coffee counters or build a brand new one so that we can make room for this brand new program. And then lastly, marketing. Obviously, I think that you just spent all this time creating a brand new breakfast sandwich program, but you should be taking into consideration the cost for the marketing of it. Pump toppers, window signs, bundles, all of that. If you went the branded route, you could obviously enlist your manufacturer to help you with some of that funding. But if you're going the private label route, those are costs that you're going to be eating yourself. And that's pretty much it. I hope that this was valuable for anyone that wants to, embark or jump on the breakfast train. And I will hand it on over.
Thank you. Which button is it?
The right.
That one. So first, I just want to thank Jessica and John and the NAG group for inviting me. Super excited to be here. Let me start by saying we have 952 stores less than Wawa. And 1,597 stores less than you guys. But we're off to a start. So a little bit about myself. I'm 27 years in the C-store in convenience retailing. I didn't think I was going to be here 27 months, but now here 27 years later. A big portion of that, 22 of the 27 years, was with 7-Eleven in various functions. Worked on both coasts, 2 stints at headquarters. I did everything from operations to planning to a bunch of different things, merchandise marketing. My first, since this is a food service panel, I do have food service experience. I started out as a merchandising analyst for food service. Matter of fact, I was the first. Shows you how dated this is. I was the first merchandise analyst for 7-Eleven for food service. And then I went on and I was a food service merchandising manager in the Chesapeake division, when it was the Chesapeake division, 1,000 stores. And I got to work with a guy by the name of Kent Jimenez. And that's important because Kent Jimenez was the guy at 7-Eleven who brought them the Turbo Chef program. So he brought them the somewhat similar to the program that they have today, but he was the first one to implement the Turbo Chef program in the Chesapeake division. And so when he got promoted to run food service, hot food at headquarters for U.S. and Canada, he invited me to come run the bakery business. So I ran the bakery business for U.S. and Canada at 7-Eleven. Like I said, there 22 years. I went on to be vice president of merchandising for another chain. And now here at Kirby's. So what is Kirby's? So Kirby's, we are new to industry. We just opened this year. We are obviously a C-store retailer, but we're a non-fuel retailer. John, I don't know if that gets me kicked out of this room if we don't have fuel, but by intent, we don't have fuel. Half of the store is a food and beverage QSR, half of the store is traditional consumer packaged goods. I wish I had more pictures to show you. If anyone wants to see a full grouping of pictures of what's inside the store, I'd be more than happy to share. But no fuel, half the store QSR, food and beverage, and then we have a Chick-fil-A style drive-through. So double lane, line busters out to take orders on tablets, can take payment, etc. So let me just give you a little bit of a backstory how all this got started. The two gentlemen in the middle, Grant Gafford and Brady Collier, are commercial real estate developers in Texas, primarily in the retail space. They work with everyone from Chick-fil-A to H-E-B to Starbucks. And so they were interested in doing their own thing on the retail side. And so what happened was they owned some retail right next to a Starbucks had built a brand new Starbucks, but never occupied it. And so Starbucks ended up selling it to a local regional convenience store chain who ran it as their first non-fuel location with drive-through. And supposedly they were just crushing it. They were doing 700, 800 beverage cups a day out the drive-through. And so that was the catalyst to Kirby's, and that was 3 years ago. So this thing's really been in the works for 3 years. I came on 2 years ago. What they did is they went to NACS to learn more about the convenience retailing industry, and then they hired a consulting company, Business Accelerator team, with Kay Siegel. Is Kay in the room anywhere? Kay, raise your hand. Kay Siegel in the back, tremendous consulting group. Got these guys off of the unwritten page and got us really down the path to where we are today. Fast forward, a lot of you know Jerry Weiner from Rutter's fame. So Jerry, I reached out to Jerry. Jerry hooked us up with Jessica. So this is how I came to know Jessica. Jessica developed the menu, everything food service related on the food QSR side. We then brought in a group of ex-Starbucks people to develop our made-to-order beverage program. So we got a lot of, you're going to hear me say a couple times, we got a lot of adult supervision on this project. So the 2 years, matter of fact, it's 2 years this month that I started with these guys. What else can I tell you? Kay, Jessica. Jessica's been on as part of the team for about 1.5 years now. That obviously done a fantastic job for us. This is my third startup. Wasn't planned that way. It just happened to work out that way. So we consider ourselves, maybe a little arrogantly, next gen in convenience retailing. We're not the only one with this. We're not the only one. There was other retail brands that are in this. Let's call it next gen retail convenience retailing. Amazon Go, Choice Market in Denver, Foxtrot in Dallas, Chicago, and DC. There's Green Zebra in San Francisco. What we all have in common, all these locations don't have fuel. Now, I do know Choice Market bought a fuel location, but didn't start off in fuel. So all food forward, no fuel, operating and competing against traditional C-store. Where we depart from these guys is we have the drive-through is a really big deal for us, and we put a lot of planning around our drive-through. So this is the early elevations, fronts and bolts and two sides to show you what it looked like originally or in development. And this is pre-open. There's grass there now, but this is how it looks today. 4,000 square feet. The drive-through's on the backside. But anyway, drive-throughs on the backside. 3 locations going up right away. We have 1 open right now. 2 more are about to be under construction. We're operating right now where Texas Tech University is in Lubbock, Texas. It's a well-funded, well-backed concept. The objective is to take it as far as we can take it. Okay. So the story basically is, we want to provide all the great things, the quality of QSR with the convenience and speed of convenience into one location. We are a faith-based company, very, very similar in, very similar to, I would say, Chick-fil-A as far as their foundation as far as how their culture has developed as well. We're a faith-based company. And our brand promise, really this is written with a lot of intent. It's really about the customer experience. Our thing is we're a bit contrarian to traditional C-store. In a lot of things that we do by intent. Are we right? I think we are, but we'll see. But it's about the guest experience. That's the most important thing. And then it's about delivering food and beverage, whether it's fresh or packaged, with obviously an unshakable commitment to be fast. We also, you're here in a second, we have self-checkout. We have, and like I mentioned, the drive-through, and we want to be super fast with the drive-through. So, bit of a list here, but here's what makes us a little bit different. So obviously the first is non-fuel. We will have EV stations going forward, but again, non-fuel. We have double lane drive-through. We have line busters with tablets to take orders. Made-to-order beverages. I can't speak highly enough about made-to-order beverages. We do just like it says. We make made-to-order energy beverages. We have a line, we call them zoomies. Our logo is a dog hanging out the window. I don't know if you know what a zoomie is. I didn't, but a zoomie is like when your dog runs around the house all crazy. And after you drink these energy beverages, you have the potential of doing the same. So zero sugar. They're beautiful beverages. I think some of you may have some of these kind of retailers in your area, but in Texas, this thing is taken off. Go look at 151 Coffee in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, On the Grind down by Austin. They're just crushing it with these made-to-order beverages. There's a little kiosk On the Grind, I think by New Braunfels, that's doing like $2 million a year in this little two-person kiosk, just crushing it with made-to-order energy beverages. We have 20 linear feet of self-serve tea, and we have, I would argue, the best tea program out there. It's with loose leaf. Everything, all natural ingredients. We digitally weigh it, brew it fresh. We have a team that's just really kind of just dedicated to tea. 24 different flavors of tea, and it's definitely a driver for us in this concept. I mentioned QSR. We do food and beverage. We operate them a little bit separate from each other, even though we are cross-training staff. We have an open kitchen design. Anything we make, you can see us making it. We hire only QSR people. We have managers. We've hired managers from Starbucks. We've hired managers from Chipotle. We have managers from Chick-fil-A. So we have, we're operating what we think is a QSR, so we're hiring QSR people. This is where we depart from traditional C-stores. We do not do any grab-and-go food. We do grab-and-go cold food with salads that we make and sandwiches that we make, but we do no hot food grab-and-go. We just think that the customer sees grab and go as maybe potentially maybe not as fresh, and plus we want that personal interaction with the customer when they walk in the store. So we do not have any hot boxes. We also don't have any order kiosks. We debated probably 6 months whether or not we're going to have. Jerry Weiner would say you're crazy. You got it. He'd probably tell you we're crazy not having order kiosks.
He's crazy.
But what we wanted to do is just have that personal one-on-one, relationship or experience, or have the customer have that experience with us. We have order tablets along our food service counter, so the customer can order food at any one of those spots as they approach the counter. Similar to like Market Street does, the grocery store chain. We have self-checkout. Self-checkout is, people love it, obviously. We have what we call a concierge. So when someone walks, similar to the holding the door. So when someone walks into the store, we have somebody that is answering questions, explaining what kind of food and beverage we have. It's not from the time we open to the time we close, but during busy hours, we have somebody there helping the customer. And then we do fresh flowers. We do specialty breads. We do fresh produce. So the gentleman that was up here earlier had the video, and they had a lot of these same things. Ours looks actually very, very similar. The other thing that's not up here that I want to talk about is that, man, we scoured the country looking for a complete enterprise POS system that included kitchen management, traditional kitchen management, with everything we needed to drive through, with the tablets, with self-checkout, and then a grocery store promotional platform that was able to do sophisticated stacking, promotional stacking, where traditional QSR systems don't do that. And so we worked with NCR. It's a little clunky, and we didn't have a ton of money to spend in development, but we have a complete enterprise system. So we don't have to ring something up on QSR, then ring it up onto our POS. And the other thing that made it complicated as far as finding this enterprise system is that when you order food and beverage, we hand you a ticket that has a barcode on it. And so the thinking there is that when you ordered your food and beverage, then you go shop on the right-hand side of the store, and then you can take everything to self-checkout, including your ticket, and check out everything by yourself all at once. And so to have all that under one system has been a bit of a challenge. Anyway, we have that with this concept. Some of this is pre-open. That Hussman case on the left, obviously, it wasn't loaded yet, but these are some pre-open pics. The top two slides, really every slide but the bottom left, is the left-hand side of the store, is the QSR part. Those slats, if you look on the top right, that's almost like when you're walking in the store into the front door, what you see. The package side is on the right. And then the food and beverage is on the left, if you're looking at that top right picture. And you can kind of see self-checkout. We have a U-shaped center self-checkout. And there's man checkout and self checkout on both sides. And then you see that big kind of wall thing underneath those wood slats that has our logo on it. On the opposite side is where we have tobacco. So the tobacco only faces the CPG side of the store. It does not face the food side of the store, done with intent. We didn't go with any linear type of gondolas. We purchased only 4-sided gondolas just because of because it allows for a different type of flow through the store, but also just because of the layout of the store. It just didn't lend itself to traditional linear type gondolas. That bottom right, that is our made to order beverage. So anything Dutch Brothers can do, we can do. And anything Panera can do, we can. I know that's an ambitious statement, but definitely anything Dutch Brothers can do, we can do. And anything Panera can do, we can do on the food side. But for us, and especially being in Texas, beverages is super important. The tea program's super important. The Zoomies are super important. We got a lot of help. There's 2 more slides I could have put of all our supplier partners that helped us bring this concept to life over the last 3 years. And so everything from O&H Design in Dallas to CIP Retail, helped us with some of the branding elements out of Cleveland. Tarani helped us with developing some beverages. Johnsonville's culinary team developed our kolaches. So anyway. So, two basic day parts. Our primary line of food are melts. And the reason for that is that we wanted to find a niche in our market that nobody was really doing in a meaningful way. There's Tom and Chi is a national, I don't know about national chain, but they're a chain of melt shops. There's the Melt Shop in New York. That's a chain of melt shops. So what makes melts great is that it's unlimited. As far as the innovation that you can do with those is almost limited to your imagination. We do grilled burritos. Those are our actual burritos. We do a line of kolaches that are just absolutely fantastic. It's not a traditional kolache like you think with the sausages in the middle. It's different, and I'll get into that in a second. We have signature muffins. We do our pizzas and the Panera. We came out with the pizza, our flatbread pizzas before Panera, but the Panera and our pizzas are very similar. We make our own salads. We have a great grill program. Our teas are crushing it. Like I said, we can do anything. Basically, Starbucks and definitely Dutch Brothers. And there's a picture of our Zoomies. It doesn't do it justice because they're beautiful. Like I said, they're no sugar, and they got more stimulant per ounce than anything you can buy in a package. So, of which we got some social media complaints that they were up all night, so we had to dial it back a little bit. So, these are some of our branding elements. I think for a startup, I mean we're a true startup. I think it makes us look pretty pro coming out the gate. This is some of it, not all of it. So that was the Kirby's commercial. This is the one and only breakfast slide that I have. But obviously breakfast is super important to us. I mean, it's super important to us. We do have a melt of cinnamon toast, sausage, egg, and cheese. The kolaches and the burritos are really the drivers of the breakfast for us. We have a Cuban. We put a pickle on the top after we bake it. We have a jalapeno. One with a jalapeno on the top, and a smoky cheddar and a cinnamon toast, and they do really, really well. We grill our burritos. Burritos are really important in Texas. We went and looked at, I think, every breakfast burrito place in our region and tried to see, what we liked out of that and what was working, what not working, how we could be different, and so we went with grilled burritos. Our salsas are made by Chef Angie Reagan. She's was on Gordon Ramsay's Next Level Chef. She does our salsas. Again, more adult supervision. Our muffin mix is Pillsbury. We're in development of this thing called a 3-egg muffin, where it looks and eats like a muffin. It looks and eats like a muffin, bakes like a muffin, but it's more of a pancake batter instead of like a muffin batter. And we put eggs in it, an egg mix in it, and then either bacon, chorizo, or ham, and then cheese and herbs over the top, and we bake it. And then so it's heavy. One of them is a meal. It's not finished yet, but everyone we showed it to, it's been a home run. We serve breakfast from 5 to 11. Technically, we can make anyone anything at any time. Made to order, hot and cold. Yeah, okay, so we have made to order, but we do allow the customer to come in and do self-serve on coffee if they want. We just want to extend that that part of self-serve on coffee, just on the obviously on the brewed coffee. And then tea. I mean, we don't sell as much tea as our coffee drinks in the morning, but it's a close second. I mean, people come in, they'll get their tea, they'll get their breakfast burrito or kolache, and hit the road. And then food display. So we do a Starbucks-like case in our lineup. So we have a food lineup that starts with pizza, grill. We have an embedded grill. We do pizzas on this counter, and we have induction ranges underneath it that shoot heat up into the counter. So you don't have to see lights or any of that stuff. It shoots heat, and we have these, I don't know if you know what pizza peels are, these wood pizza peels. We put the pizzas on top of it, then we do grill. Then we have a whole fresh salad bar where we make fresh salads. Okay, and then we have a 4-foot case that has these floating wooden shelves, and we do like Starbucks, where every morning and then every afternoon we make all of our sandwiches and we set them on the shelf so people can see the actual sandwich instead of just seeing it on a menu. And then, questions. That's it. Thank you. Oh no, I want to say one more thing. I'm sorry.
You can't.
I got 19 minutes and 40 seconds left. No, it's timing up now. We're over. I would say like I said, 27 years, been in food service. This is me and my tiny brain speaking. I think that if you don't find a point of differentiation with your offering, then you're relying on price and promotion to drive performance in that category. I mean, that's just my experience anywhere I've been. It's just that you got to have some point of differentiation in the food, because you're competing against QSR. And not only that, I think you have to have QSR people running your food, even if it's not a separate QSR. You got to. Again, this is what I think. And then I also believe you got to have a lot of grown-ups and adults that are in the food business, like Jessica, to come and work with you to develop your program. But the point of differentiation, I think, is the most important.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about blurring the lines, and obviously this concept is a very big blurry line. They're a market, and I think that really stands out in even the name of the store. It's called Express Market, so it's really not what you might expect really anywhere. It's really a grocery convenience marketplace. So I know you're going to have a lot of questions coming up after this. Thank you for sharing that with us, though, really. Thank you, all three of you, for sharing that. We have some time for questions. So, John, how long do we actually have? Awesome. Okay, 15 more minutes? Okay. Well, so I was taking a few notes, and I have a question for each panelist just to kind of kick us off. Then we do want to hear from you and make sure that we're answering your questions as well. So Jerome, going back to something that you said earlier, you were talking about rising input costs. You were talking about inflation and high pressure on raw materials, on packaging, on labor, on transportation. You also talked about comfort foods and partnerships with trusted brands and how you're improving quality. Can you tell us a little bit more about how these rising input costs have impacted what you guys have been doing lately? Anything you can share with us there?
Sure. I think a couple of years ago, we created a revenue management department within marketing, and the revenue management team was really basically tasked with using data to help us understand our pricing structure, both relative to our brand and relative to our competition. So this team has been instrumental as these commodity and inflationary pressures keep coming in, really scraping data. We have a couple web scraping tools. And what we try to do is we try to create a brand matrix and a pricing matrix. So on a brand matrix, it could be, in no particular order, Wawa, 7-Eleven, Racetrack, Dunkin' Donuts, and McDonald's and Starbucks, right? And then we kind of try to understand our quality perception on this brand matrix. So if we think our quality is right in the middle of that brand matrix, then we look at retails, right? And if we're right in the middle from a brand value perception to our customer, we don't want to be all the way down here and leaving money on the table, and we don't want to be way up here basically insulting our customers. So we really try to understand, as these inflationary inputs come in, how does our brand compete with the people that we strategically and proprietary want to compete with, and then we look and see what they're doing to make sure that we're kind of all moving in sync. We're not leaving too much on the table, and we're not taking more than we really need to. And then that has to also directly apply to our margin percents, to our margin requirements, to the bottom line P&L. So, the P&L might tell you we need more, but if competition and your brand and your value proposition doesn't allow for that, you have to be careful.
Yeah, what a smart way to consider the different parts of your offer. So you're actually looking at different parts of the day and different types of categories in different ways. So you're not doing like an across the board, let's increase prices everywhere by 10% or something like that. You're looking specifically within different categories.
Yeah, we have probably about 10 matrix. So you'll have a coffee matrix, you'll have a breakfast sandwich matrix, you'll have a CPG matrix or a hoagie matrix, and each one of those matrix has different competition sets within it. And then we use the web scraping tool information and price elasticity information to try and understand, okay, how far can we creep up or down that matrix?
That's so smart, so fascinating. Thank you for sharing that with us. I was wondering about that. Okay, I have a question for you, Dora. You presented some really great thought starters and obviously did some really thorough work, but you totally left us hanging, and we need to know what you did with your privately labeled versus branded coffee and breakfast program. Can you tell us where did you land on all of this information that you collected?
Yes, we landed on a private label breakfast sandwich program, and it was actually a really easy decision for us, especially after rolling out 200 bean-to-cup machines at our locations. We really kind of wanted to focus on creating a brand. We want to compete with the Wawas of the world that already have a really well-known brand, and we want to be that place that you rely on for your fuel, for both your car and your body. So we really kind of, want to get our name out there. We want to become a destination. So we went the private label route, and we're super excited for them to make the debut in May, and really hope that they fly off the shelves the way that we're expecting them to.
Yeah, and you did say you started with coffee. That's also a privately labeled program?
Yes, so our coffee, we've been developing the All Town Fresh coffee brand, and we worked from, picking all the beans, and we have a great partner up in Connecticut that we work with. So we really thought that if we were going to be investing in coffee and making that private label, that, we had to do the same for our food programs as well.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that with us. So, Tony, I do know quite a lot about the background of how you've developed the program for food and beverage, but I still think it's just fascinating. And your store's been open since February 1st, right?
Yes.
So we're just 6 or 8 weeks into the first little bit of sales. But can you tell us a little bit more about the program that's put together right now with breakfast and with all the beverages that you're doing? Is it playing out like you predicted? How did the whole offer come together? And you did talk about some of your competitive set. And I wanted to mention too, make sure that the tea and energy drink programs in coffee in Texas are, I think, something that you're going to see everywhere. I think it's just the beginning. Even in my small town in Kentucky, it seems like everybody has a big cup from either McDonald's or Sonic or some place that has just tons of tea in it. It's going to be sweet tea in my area, and in yours it might be a blend of some other types of teas. But I think you have to watch for that. You have to be ahead of the game when it comes to tea and energy drinks. But just want to throw that out there. But can you tell us how is it playing out as you predicted, and what's surprising you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still really early, but our issue is just execution. It's a new concept, so it's getting people trained, it's getting people cross-trained. We had too many people working in one area, not enough people working in another. So really, it's hard to say right now, just because execution is the reason why, if anything's not going right, it's because of that. So, and I wouldn't say anything's not going right. It's still very early. The kolaches are, like I said, are crushing it. The tea is way overperforming. The Zoomies are doing what we thought they were going to do, the made-to-order energy beverages. But, on the sandwiches, our brisket melt is our #1 seller, followed by, we have 2 different type of chicken melts, and those are doing really well. Pizzas are about where we expected. Grill's overperforming. We sell a lot of, we make salads and put them in our cold box, so our salads are going really well. But just like any program, there's ABC sellers, and so we've got some C sellers right now. We also have a soft serve ice cream. We're trying to do some real interesting. We're trying to be fun. We're trying to be not boring. So St. Patrick's Day, we poured green dye in the soft serve ice cream and did a big social media thing with giving away free green ice cream, and we gave like 700 away on that day. So, but I would say still too early to tell, but tea and Zoomies are doing really well. I do want to mention one thing, and then this is on the supply chain. The supply. I actually think we have a bigger issue than we actually realize. I mean, what's happening is chains that are under, let's say, 500 stores are 100% getting throttled down on supply. That goes from Frito to Budweiser to Coors to the grocery distributors. You'll walk into a chain or walk into Walmart or whatever, and they'll be fully stocked with bagged candy, and then you'll go into a regional chain, the same distributor, and there's nothing on the shelf. So that was a supply chain issue. I think it's a bigger problem than we think. I don't know of any area that's not being affected by issues with our suppliers. So.
Yeah, and that's tough because you have some strong distributor partners too there. So, okay, well, we have a few more minutes for any other questions. Is there any question that you guys have? If they're hard questions, those guys are going to take them. If they're easy, I'd be happy to answer. No, but honestly, if you have any questions for any one of these brands, they're here for you. Let's hear it. Who has the first question?
I have a question for Tony. Xiaona, are you using that for kitchen management as well?
We're not. We just started it Saturday. So luckily we have some people on the staff that's used it before. I've never used it before. So right now we're just using it to take orders. But I don't know, I didn't really know anything about Chow Now, but I mean, if you're not going to develop your own app or have online, I mean, that's a great company to use. I mean, from the customer's perspective, it looks like you've created your own app. But we just started it, but I mean, like as soon as we turned the thing on, we started getting orders. So early returns that we're having some success with it. Highly recommend doing something like that if you're not going to create your own.
Are you in the green?
Yeah, with labor challenges, obviously, I'm sorry, I'm not good with mics. With labor challenges that we've all faced, what are some of the things that you've kind of implemented to help with the execution of your programs?
Who's he asking?
All of you, whoever wants it.
Go ahead.
Well, for our breakfast sandwich program, we specifically set out to create a ready-to-eat breakfast sandwich program. So, I mean, we have plenty of stores that have the capability to create and assemble breakfast sandwiches on site, but I'd say about 80% of our stores can't. And that's for many reasons, whether it's, labor, space, permitting. So we made sure that we just developed a really easy executable program. Even if people don't show up to work, the people that do could just pick up the piece of paper and follow the instructions and execute it. And not quality suffer because of it.
And then we have another question right over here. Yeah.
So Tony, on Kirby's Market, obviously impressive food service out there that you guys have put together. What does the growth strategy look like for you guys to actually have a model where you can kind of support the infrastructure and all the DSOE that it comes with an expansive operation like that?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good question because since the beginning, we're super selective on all the suppliers that we're using because of the need to scale. These guys have ambitions that here in the next 24 months we're in Oklahoma City. I mean, so obviously that type of thing is a challenge for us. I would say that we don't fully have it worked out yet. What we're doing right now is we're putting 3 stores in. We think we can get 8 in the immediate in the immediate area that we're in, but we're going to operate those 3, work out all the kinks, and then start building more. Then we'll start being aggressive on building and moving into other areas. But from the beginning, we look for partners that could scale with us, and so. That's, we just look for partners that could scale with us. And then, like I said, and then having other resources, because, we don't have any internal resources right now. So we have to use the Jessicas of the world and other people like that to help us with, with this scaling opportunity that we're going to have at some point. On the question about staffing, we put an Indeed ad out, and we got 55 people right off the bat. I mean, it was like we couldn't believe it. And there's restaurants in town that couldn't find 20 people. Part of it is just the newness of our chain. But first of all, we pay higher, we pay more. Second is that, the culture being based in and I'm not saying that, I'm just saying this is us, being a faith-based company, that's helped us also. But that's also driven, we've had more, in the last 2 years, we've had more meetings that had to do with developing how we're going to develop our culture than we had on anything else. And so we have a culture plan, we have a culture strategy, we have one on every employee, we try to identify where they are in their life and try to, if they want to be a firefighter. So, okay, well, let's see if we can help you be a firefighter. At least give you the opportunity and the encouragement and motivation to go do what you want to do. And a lot of these employees are transient in the sense that they're moving from one place to another in their life. And so we try to connect with them on a one-on-one basis. And so far that's worked. We've not lost any manager or shift leader so far, even with the stresses of a new concept, although it's been early on. So, but that, just like the gentleman said up here earlier, communication, one-on-one, we take that one-on-one super serious. I mean, the shift leader has to do it with the employee. The manager has to do it with the shift leader. It's in a process. It's calendarized. It's monthly, and so we get super aggressive with it.
All right. Well, I know there are a lot more burning questions. Please make sure that you reach out to this group. If you need any help finding them, we'll make sure their contact information is available. I know that it is on the app as well. So thank you so much. You all did not have to do this, but we all appreciate what you've been able to share with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.